Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Nadine. I'm a qualified midwife here working in the UK. I hope you guys are doing well and having an amazing week. So in today's video, I'll be talking about my job history and all the jobs that I have done over the years to this point now, currently as a registered band 6 midwife. So I'll be talking about the job itself, the salary, how much I was making, the job description, what I had to do, what I was doing, where it was, all of that. So I got this idea from Lydia. She also did a job history video, and I thought it was pretty cool to basically, you know, show your progression, motivate others, and gives people hope if they're planning on, you know, securing their dream job in the near future, but have to do the odd job here and there in order to actually succeed and get their dream job. So hopefully this video will, you know, help those that are, you know, struggling and still think that they are far from their dream job. Because my journey, when I tell you guys where I've been and the jobs I've done, it is not easy. But yeah, Lydia Dinger's video is in the description box below. Do go and check that out. But let's get started with today's video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. Hit the like button as it helps me out a lot. But let's get started with my job histories. Okay, so let's get started with my first ever paid job. So I may be looking down on my phone for reference because I literally put the years, the dates, the salary all in my phone so I don't forget. So my first ever job was working for a company called Lola Events. If you guys know about this company, yeah, I feel like at one point everyone was literally working for this company. So Lola Events is basically an events company. They do hospitality and catering for like events here in London and I think all over the UK, but mainly in London. So I basically joined Lola Events from 2011 until 2015. So when I joined Lola Events, I was in college. So 2015, I was 17 years old. I think I was 17 years old going on to 18, but I had just turned 17 years old when I joined Lola Events, and I basically needed money because I was going off to uni and I wanted to basically get some money in order for me to survive at university. So I applied to Lola Events, and Lola Events, so I worked at so many functions and events all over London. So I did that job for a good 5 years. So 2011 all the way to 2015. So a good 4 or 5 years I was with Lola Events, and I did so many events. So with Lola Events, you're basically on their agency like situation, so you basically pick the shifts you want. So you're not rotated to do certain shifts. You basically go on their website. If there's shifts available, you basically book yourself onto the shift and you go to the shift. So there was times where I wasn't working because I just didn't want to work, and then when I wanted money, I would literally just go on the website, apply for a shift, and then go to the shift and then get paid. And you get paid on a weekly basis. So with Lola Events, I worked at weddings, I worked at, you know, art gallery functions, I worked at the football stadium, I worked at the Olympics 2012, I worked at the Olympics 2012, and then at the end of the Olympics they gave us like free tickets to actually sit and watch the end of the Olympics. I literally did so many events. I worked at hotels, I worked in restaurants, I worked in very like high class events where there was like celebrities. I worked at people's Christmas parties, Christmas dinners and things like that. So that was my first ever job, and I was with them from 2011 right through to 2015. So let's talk about the salary. So the salary ranged from, depending on the job and the event, from £650 per hour to you know, like £10, £11 per hour. So the £650 per hour were mainly like your restaurant jobs, or if you were working at an art gallery event and you're like waitressing or doing food service, or you're working the bar. So those were like your salary for those kind of jobs, like £650, £7. You're doing waitressing and you're working at a bar at these events. And then your £10, £11, £12 jobs was when I was like hostessing. So I was like front of house, welcoming the guests, making sure that they were, you know, taken to their seats and things like that. Or I was doing things like cloakroom service, taking their coats and putting in the cloakroom. So those kind of jobs basically brought in more money. You were getting paid more by the hour because you weren't waitressing, or you weren't a waiter, or you weren't working at the bar. But yes, that's my first ever job, Lola Events, and I did that from 2011 and 2015. Okay, so my next job, so my second job, at this point I am at university in Coventry, and I get myself a job in a nightclub. So this job in the nightclub, I did it from 2013 to 2015. So I was still on Lola Events books, but I just wasn't booking any shifts because obviously I was not in London. I had moved to Coventry to study, and therefore I couldn't book any Lola Events shifts. But I got myself a job in a nightclub, and that's basically where I worked for most of my time while I was at university. So I did bar work when I was in the nightclub and cloakroom as well. So it was the best job, hands down, guaranteed, that I've ever worked in. We had so much fun. I made so many friends working in that nightclub, and it was literally good vibes, literally good vibes. So like I said, I was there from 2013 up until 2015 when I left uni and came back to London. So that job, I was actually getting paid cash in hand. So there were times where we would leave with like £50 for the night, or we'll leave for £40 a night, or we'll leave with £60 a night, depending on tips and also obviously your standard pay. So that's how much I was basically making for that job. And I would work I would work Friday and Saturdays only, and in the rest of the days obviously I had uni. So I would be making £40–50 a night, and I was just working 2 days a week. So that was my second job. I was working in a nightclub in Coventry from 2013 to 2015. I was getting paid cash in hand, roughly between 40–50 a night, depending on how busy we were. Okay, so my third job, so this was from 2015 to 2016. This was when I had failed to get a spot on the midwifery program, and I just basically had given up. I decided to get a job as a live-in carer. So I did live-in. So basically live-in is basically when you go to the client's home and you basically live there for like a week or two and caring for them in their home. So I basically did that between 2015 to 2016 just to make some money, because I wasn't getting anywhere when it comes to getting onto a midwifery degree course. So I did live in. So you go to the place, you basically stay there for a week or 2 weeks, and then you basically go home. But my placements were a week maximum. I didn't like the fact that I was away from home for more than a week, so I never did 2 weeks. I always did a week. I would go home, and then they'll place me somewhere for a week, and then I'll go home. So with live-in care, I made roughly £500 to £600 a week. So that's good money. Well, good money back then, but it's still good money. So with live-in care, you make 500. There was times where I was making 500 a week. There was times where I was making £600 a week. And you basically stay there for a week. You don't have to even bring your own food. The homes that I went to, I didn't have to bring my own food. I basically shopped with the client, and we basically cooked together and we ate together and things like that. So that's basically the next job that I did. I was a live-in carer from 2015 to 2016, and I was making 500, sometimes £600 a week. Okay, so the next job is when I decided to apply for midwifery, and I actually got accepted onto the midwifery degree course, but I could no longer do the live-in care, so I had to then quit that job, come back home and basically study. But I wanted to be able to provide for myself while I was at university. I didn't want to be broke, so I applied for another job. So this job I applied in 2016 when I got my offer accepted, but I didn't start until 2017. So I applied to Athona, which is an agency that provides healthcare assistants, also provide nurses and midwives and other healthcare professionals. But when I applied, obviously I wasn't qualified. I wasn't a qualified nurse or a midwife, so I applied to Athona and I applied as a healthcare assistant in 2016. So I did that right through to 2019. So when I was a student midwife, when I started in 2017, I would do the odd shift here and there as a healthcare assistant in like hospitals near my area, so that I wasn't broke and I had money to basically survive. I didn't want to just rely on my parents to always pay for my stuff, because at this point they were tired because I was I was not doing the course that I wanted to do. But that's another story. You guys go check out my journey video that I posted. But yes, so that was my next job, Athona, as a healthcare assistant. With Athona, I made some good money as a healthcare assistant. That's when I was like, okay, so this healthcare business, you can make some good money. So Athona, as a healthcare assistant, I was making some good money. There were times where I was making like £9 an hour at some places. Some places were paying me £10 an hour, some places were paying £8 an hour. So it just varied depending on the company I went to, the hospital I went to, and the job that I was actually doing. So that job was from 2016 to 2019. Okay, so this is where it gets a little bit confusing. So the Athona job was agency, so it wasn't permanent, it wasn't fixed, I wasn't guaranteed shifts. Okay, so I basically worked when there was a shift available or when I wanted to work and I pick up a shift. So I wanted something more permanent, something that was bringing in an income every single month, because I couldn't take not knowing if I was gonna work and be paid, because obviously when you work with an agency, it's not guaranteed that you're gonna find work or find a shift available for you to go work at. So I decided to get something permanent while I was a student midwife, and I tried to juggle the two, and I actually managed to do that. So the next job that I decided to get, because obviously the agency wasn't something secure and permanent in terms of pay and shifts, I got a job as a healthcare assistant slash senior night staff in a care home in my area, and I got that job between 2017, when I was a student midwife in my first year, up until 2021. So this job was literally my last job I ever did before I qualified as a midwife. So I got this job because I wanted something permanent. I wanted money coming in every month, and the agency wasn't giving me that security. So working for this company as a senior night staff, I basically did night shifts, and then during the day when I had uni, I'll go to uni, and when I was off from uni, I did my night shifts, and I was able to like swap shifts if it clashed with placement, if it clashed with uni. So it basically worked out for the 3 years that I was doing midwifery and my side job. Even though it was rotated, it kind of worked out because I was always prepared. Every time my rota came out, I made sure I fit it with my timetable for placement and timetable for uni. So that job paid me, I think it was £9 an hour, and I made some good money there. I managed to save a little bit. So when I qualified in 2020, I had some sort of savings to pay off my student overdraft that I was no longer using and things like that. So yeah, after that job, I was basically, you know, healthy in the bank department, and those 3 years working alongside my midwifery degree course basically saved my life. So that was the last and final job I ever did before I worked as a qualified midwife. So when I qualified in 2020, I didn't want to actually go and work as a midwife straight away. I needed a break, but a break didn't mean no money. So I continued working as a healthcare assistant. Even though I was a qualified midwife, I continued working as a healthcare assistant because I needed a break from being a student midwife. I didn't want to go straight into it and start practicing midwife. So I took 6 months break after qualifying, and I didn't start until March 2021. That's why I qualified in 2020, but I didn't start until 2021. So this job, I did it from 2017 to 2021 when I was good and ready to start practicing as a qualified midwife. So yeah, so from March 2021 was when I started at my current post as a qualified midwife until now. We are in March 2023, and that is currently my job. So that is basically my job history. So that was fun, and I will be doing more of these videos soon. So I hope you guys have enjoyed, but that is it for today's video, and I will see you guys in my next one, which will be very, very soon, hopefully. So until then guys, bye.